Hey, it's Inigo here and welcome to my channel. So today I'm making a video about sauna culture because sauna is very important in Finnish life. Like to be Finnish is to use sauna almost, like from my understanding. It's something that we have in England and I've used before in England, but you don't use it that often, and it will always be kind of in a health centre or leisure centre, and probably the way that you use it is kind of different to how you use it here in Finland. But anyway, let me get started and explain at least what I know about sauna culture to help people outside of Finland learn about this really important part of Finnish life. So people will start using sauna in Finland from like their first days of life, basically. The sauna has different levels, and obviously the higher up you are, the hotter it is. So if you're very small, you might be on the, right at the bottom, maybe on the floor. From what I've heard, little children might be put into little buckets of water and they'll sit in the water, obviously, so they can manage the heat. And, obviously it's not going to be like a super hot sauna, but you'll start getting used to it from birth, and sauna is so much so part of Finnish culture that people even used to give birth in the sauna, which kind of different to how it's done in England at least. But yeah, so it's something that you get used to from a very young age, and it's part of you as a Finn from a very young age. And from what I've learned, you'll start using sauna with your family, and kind of depending on the size of your sauna and the size of your family, you might use it all the way up until you're kind of a teenager, and then you'll kind of go in separately probably because you're not wearing any clothes. And again, it's probably quite different to how we use sauna in England. In England, you'll probably wear swimming costume like trunks or bikini. In Finland, you wear either nothing or you might wear a towel, but you're not taking like swimming wear into a sauna in Finland. It's kind of like almost forbidden. But yeah, so anyway, like as you get older, you will probably split between like the children will go together and the parents will go together, like one at a time. And that is also useful if the parents like to have like a very hot sauna and the kids have a colder sauna. You'll go separately, but it's something that like you'll do growing up and do with your family, until you're kind of at an age where it's maybe not so appropriate. But I mean, I'm sure like even still like as an adult, it's kind of like a normal thing to do. Maybe it would be a bit more taboo in countries where we don't have sauna, but like here it's kind of normal. So yeah, so typically people go like once a week here. I guess again it depends whether you have your own sauna or you use a public sauna. But you probably will go like once a week, and a session might last around an hour. Again, can be more, can be less. From my experience, we use a communal sauna as part of our apartment block, and we book out like 1 hour sessions. And what those sessions look like typically is we'll probably do maybe like 4 kind of sessions. So we'll go into the sauna for like 10-15 minutes. It gets hot, you have a break, you jump out, go for a cold shower, have a drink. Sometimes people even have like beer. You might go outside, even you might leave like the sauna and go outside during your break. I guess everyone probably has like a bit of a different experience or different routine, but typically from my experience, yeah, you just have like little bursts of heat, then cool off quickly, come back in until you've basically had enough. I suppose that's kind of quite similar to how I've used it before in England, but that's kind of for context. I would say probably like every house should have a sauna in Finland. And even some large apartments might have a sauna as well. If you have a small apartment like we do, it's also quite common that your whole apartment block will have a shared sauna, and then like everyone has their own slot, their own time slot. So ours is like a Saturday evening, so we can go like at the same time every Saturday for an hour, and we get the sauna all to ourselves. There is also like a public sauna, so sometimes people will go to a public sauna. I think typically it's split between like men's and women's sessions, but there are also mixed sessions. Again, like if you're uncomfortable, like going naked, obviously you might wear a towel, and that's probably sort of more so common, especially in like a mixed sauna. I've been to one public sauna once, and this was actually in the winter, and again it might help explain another sort of version of using sauna in Finland. But I went to a public sauna. As soon as I walked in, there's beer cans everywhere. So obviously people drink or people get drunk kind of before going to sauna or during like having a sauna, probably even after as well. That kind of sounds completely alien to someone that's not from Finland, or like from someone from England, because sauna is kind of seen more like just purely a health thing. But here it's also like, it is a health thing, but also it's kind of like social, and I guess like, maybe you have a beer to relax as well. But yeah, anyway, I went into this public sauna. It's like this small wooden building. And basically I'm going in there with like all strangers. We're all like not wearing any clothes. It's like a fire sauna. So there's like two different kinds. There's like a wood sauna, like a wood burning sauna. It's a wood burning sauna or an electric sauna. Like more traditional is like a wood burning one. That's what we used. And then during our breaks, during the winter this is, so like, I don't remember exactly, like maybe November, or even December, we go into the sauna, you have your 10-15 minutes getting warm. And then when you're having your break, you go outside to the sea. So like the sauna is by the sea. They've cut a hole in the sea, so like you can go. Obviously, it's all frozen. They cut a hole. You go down on a ladder, and you basically just go under the like freezing cold water in the middle of your break. And like it feels amazing. Like it actually does feel amazing, although you kind of have to get like acclimatized to it. But it's such an amazing feeling. Hopefully, I can go again. But people will kind of do like sea swimming, I guess, between saunas, and that's kind of quite a common thing in the winter. So I've done that before. That was really cool. That was a public sauna. But yeah, like I said, people will typically have their own if they have like a house and it's their own house. Large apartments might have a sauna, and smaller apartments you're probably going to have a shared one. I would say in the sauna, like the sauna temperature, you're probably going to be experiencing heats between like 70 minimum and then going up to like could even be 100. In Finland, there actually used to be like sauna championships where people would try and sit in the sauna for the longest, and the person who came out last basically was the winner. And the temperatures there would go like 110 degrees, and people died during those competitions. And so at least officially they don't happen anymore. I'm sure probably people still do that, but like they've been stopped because people died. So yeah, like anyway, like for me, I probably use like 75, 80 degrees. I don't think that's like super hot, but that's kind of like a typical temperature that we might use for the sauna. I think in terms of like usage, yeah, like I said, people usually go once a week, typically on a weekend. So I think like Saturday is quite common. But another big thing for sauna is also Christmas. So every Christmas in Finland, if you've got your own sauna, you'll probably use the sauna on Christmas Day. I think people use it at different times, and obviously if you're watching and you're Finnish, then definitely comment like what your experience is using sauna and how often you use the sauna. We, like with my Finnish family, we would use the sauna on Christmas Day, like in the mornings, like before we go for breakfast. It's just a really nice way to start your day, and it feels like a treat basically, and you know, it's a big celebration day. So it's just like a really nice day to start your day on Christmas, like having a nice sauna, and we'll go with all of our family, obviously separately. But yeah, like that's a really nice thing. There's also another part of sauna culture, which for a lot of people might sound like weird, but you can also have like sauna sausages or nakki. I guess makkara as well. So there will be tubes that you can have like that are put like on the sauna, maybe near the top of the sauna, and you can put a sausage in the tube and the sausage cooks while you're in the sauna. I've not actually tried it, but my wife's family, like in their sauna, they have one of those tubes. And yeah, like people cook sausages in the sauna. Finnish people are quite practical. Like generally, I would say Finnish people are quite practical. So they've definitely solved like a problem here. You want to eat, you want to be in the sauna. You know, they've mixed these two things together. So well done, Finland, for that invention. But yeah, like that's probably it, I guess. There's also, maybe I'll explain the different. So in Finnish, the sauna itself, like where the heat is coming from, is called quirks, and the water, when you're throwing the water on, that's called löyly. And then there's also something called vasta, which is like, as far as I know, it's like birch tree branches kind of put together. I'll put a picture here so you can see. I've not used it before, but I think especially like if you're using like a Christmas sauna, I think it's quite common. But you hit yourself with these kind of twigs, this branch, and it's supposed to give you some like therapeutic benefits by doing this. I can't say for myself whether it does or whether it doesn't, but apparently it does. And that's like another thing that people do. People also might have, so you'll have your own sort of towels. So if you have a sauna, you might have like sauna towels. So you might have like little small ones that you sit on, or long ones that you lay on. And people also buy pillows. So you might have pillows with like little beads in that you can use while you're in the sauna. But yeah, like as far as I know, that's kind of everything. I don't want to make the video like super long. I also found out that there are 3 million saunas in Finland, which, to give you context, there's 5 million people. So like on average, I guess like 60% of people have a sauna. I would say probably some people will have two. So like in Finland, people have summer cottages that you go to in the summer, typically in the countryside, maybe like in the middle of Finland, like not in the cities. And you probably are going to have a sauna with your summer cottage, which is called a mökki. My wife's family's mökki has a sauna there too. So like technically, like my wife's grandma has like a sauna in her house and a sauna in the mökki, but doesn't use them all. But anyway, that kind of shows how some people will have multiple, and like us, we don't have one of our own. But 3 million saunas is quite a lot considering their population. So yeah, I think that's everything. I'll end it there. If you have any comments about sauna culture, if you're Finnish, obviously leave a message If I've missed anything out that's super important, or if you don't agree with everything I've said, or if there's something that needs to be added, let me know. Share your own experiences of using a sauna. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.